Wednesday, July 5th. My name is Brandon, as you know, hopefully by now, Theme Park Predictions. And this is Corey from the great channel that you gotta subscribe to, and that's Mentored Engineer. So be sure to check him out. And today we're going to talk theory. We're going to talk the engineering aspects behind the B&M Sport that cracked, and all sorts of other cool things. And Corey has some really cool things he wants to share with you regarding coasters that I guarantee you that you're going to find interest in. So first and foremost, how's everyone doing tonight? Hopefully everyone's doing good. And I'm going to be the moderator.
All right, Fury's his favorite coaster. Excellent.
So you can see the chat too, Corey. Cool.
Yeah, I can't read it because I'm far enough back.
Yeah, I can read it. I have a good set. Just give us a moment here. We're trying. We've never done a live together. I've never done one.
Yeah, this is fascinating. I gotta figure out how to do this myself.
You know, the audio is always bad on lives. I don't know why.
We got a Dave Ramsey fan in there.
Let's see here.
Bass.
Alan, what's going on, Alan? Hey, Katie's Coaster. Hey, Pat Exer or Patexter. I don't know how you pronounce that. Melissa, how you doing? Tyler, hope you're well. It's going to be a fun episode tonight. We're going to be talking about Theory 325, the crack, and Corey knows a little bit more about that than I do because, as you can tell by his background, he's a little bit smarter than I am. After all, I am from Ohio, after all, so that might explain why I'm, might not be the smartest person in the book. But anyways, what's going on, Alex? Hope to see you. I'm glad to see you here, bro. Sorry you left early from Carowin. Sorry to make it up there for dinner with you. Yes, we're live from our phones because we're doing the dual setup here. Unfortunately, can't do it on the actual desktop. I wish we could. But anyways, Ohio Roxy, I do like Ohio too. I mean, that's Kings Island and Cedar Point. What's that's pretty good. Hard to go wrong with that. So anyways, hope everyone's doing well. And let's see here. Let's dig in because we have a lot of people on, which is great. So first and foremost, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. I know it's the day after 4th of July. Hopefully no one else is shooting off fireworks because my kids need to sleep tonight and my dog is terrified of them. But this is Corey. I'm going to have Corey explain a little bit more about his background and why he's on this live stream together because both of our home parks, Carowinds, Fury, the support cracked, and he has some great insight on it. He did a great video that has, how many views do you have on that now?
It's just under 50,000, which is my #1 video.
That's fantastic. So exciting. He has some great insight of it. But anyways, take over, Corey. Explain, share a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm a mechanical engineer. I've always loved coasters. The first coaster I ever built was when I was in 8th grade. I broke my arm and had it in a cast, and I decided I'm gonna build a roller coaster anyway, even though I had my arm in the cast. And well, kind of went on, got my engineering license, became a professional engineer. Got a lot of certifications over the years, a lot of experience designing mobile equipment. The guys that go play with power lines specifically, so I designed a lot of bucket trucks. And then 5 years ago, I started my own business doing mechanical engineering. And during COVID, I decided it'd be a fun idea to build a roller coaster in my backyard for me. My kids can ride it too. And I made the Black Widow during COVID because everything was shut down. I didn't have any clients at the time. And I thought maybe that'll just be a fun, the wisest thing I can do with my money for my business. So I made that. That's on the internet, and you can see that on YouTube. I have a series of videos on how to make your own backyard coaster. So if you're interested in doing that, go check those out. I had some problems with that one and remade it into what is now the Widow's Revenge. Oh, it's the Black Widow, the first one. Now the Widow's Revenge. And completed that. Brandon and I are actually going to get together in early August, and he's going to come out here and ride it. So we're excited about that. I think that's going to be just super cool. And just this week, I've been announcing that I'm going to start my next backyard coaster because, you can never have too many, I guess. But I got a model of it right here. And let's see if it'll fit here. But it'll be the first three inversion launch coaster in somebody's backyard, at least. So launch track up to 25 miles an hour into a barrel roll and then up into a scorpion tail. And then you do it all backwards. So it's going to be one big feat of engineering. I'm going to put a semi-professional control system on it, and yeah, it'll be pretty cool.
That's awesome. Look at that. That's just insane. I love it.
Excited about that.
And the great thing is you have some real estate to work with. So, you can always go bigger, badder for the next one. The sky's the limit, right?
But I don't know about that. I'm sure at some point the city council is going to get a little bit interested.
Yeah, but still, it's great. Well, you obviously have a very, very large talent, and that's great to see it because the backyard coasters are awesome. Mason keeps on asking for me to do one. I'm like, look, too much time. I can't do it. I used to do the backyard haunted houses. That was my niche, and I loved building the haunted houses in my backyard. But the roller coaster aspect was too much safety engineering. I could do it, but the older I get, the better I am at you know carpentry and stuff. So I don't know. I'm in the HOA community, so I definitely can't do it where I live now because we
Right.
don't have like wooden privacy fences. Where I used to live 6 months ago, we did have a 6 foot privacy fence around, so I could definitely get away with it more. But here, it's like everyone would like notice it and probably complain, knowing people. But you know, it is what it is. So
By
it's
the way, I
definitely.
saw comment. You can get one of these Math You Can Ride Math You Can Ride shirts at Mentor Engineer. Look at the merch.
Yeah, even better. Yeah, check that out. We'll put the link to that in the description of this video as well. So
Cool.
most of you guys know on Friday, June 30th, around 7:30 p.m., Fury had the crack in the actual support system, or the support on the third element, the really quick turn right by the parking lot, and it was definitely unexpected, of course. And I was actually at the park that day. I was so mad because I got there at 7 o'clock. I was going to go meet up with some friends, and I was just had a long week. All my kids, both kids, and my wife had, I think it was called hand, foot, no, maybe hand, foot, and mouth disease or whatever it is. It's really bad for kids, but my wife got it. She's still getting over it now. She's better, but still her throat's all blistery. Anyways, it's been a hell of a week in the Stoff household. So we ended up. I'm going to Carowinds. I need a little bit of a mental break, and I get to the park, and I wanted to go get some food first. And then my friend Alex, who's on the live chat, and he texted us and said, "Fury's closed for the night." We're like, "What are you talking about? It's not closed for the night. It's probably just something, no big deal." So I walked over there and saw a couple of my friends who work on the crew, and I'm like, "What's going on?" They're like, "Yeah, it's really down for the night." I'm like, "Really? That's okay. Well, what do we do now? Like, go to Afterburn, Intimidator, Copperhead?" I was like, "Okay." So we had a very interesting and different experience at Carowinds. Um, I honestly wish I just would have been more observant walking into the park at 7 p.m. Is it the ride cracked around, I would say around 7:30-ish as far as when it was notified to the crew. I wish I could have been the one to capture the footage and run the guest services and say, "Hey, by the way, this has got to shut down now." Uh, just because I just walked right past it, I could have maybe stopped it from happening even sooner. I don't know, but anyways, with all that being said, Corey, what's going on? What's your thoughts on this? Because now we have the metal steel plates in the actual support column, and a lot of people are questioning what the heck's happening. Is the ride down for the year? Because I've been predicting now since Saturday, my first video on it this past Saturday, that the ride will be up in about 2 weeks. I'm personally still very confident on that, just from checking out the scene every single day and kind of hearing the buzz around the park, and as far as who's saying what, and kind of understanding what people are talking about. And so it just comes down to what I am hearing, what I'm thinking, and what I've been predicting is 2 weeks. So I definitely think Fury will be open within the next week. But again, what happened was very serious, and they're taking their definitely time with it. So Corey, I'm not trying to go on and on, but go
Yeah, yeah.
take the floor. Take the floor.
Sure. So the first thing I want to talk about is, I mentioned I designed bucket trucks for a number of years, and we had product support issues for a wide variety, whether it be some sort of mechanical system wasn't working the way we expected, or a structural defect. And I just say there's a lot of wisdom that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see. So engineers, when something like this happens, they're working overtime. Everybody's trying to come up with the game plan and what it's contingent on. So there's a lot of things. But one thing I want to say that I got a lot of comments on for my video was how the fire department had to be called to actually shut it down. And I will say that's the second time I've ever seen this done on a major scale. The other time was the I-40 bridge over by Memphis. It failed maybe a year and a half ago or something. And they had inspectors out there. They noticed this giant crack, and they ended up calling the highway patrol or something like that, state police, and told them to shut down traffic. They didn't go to their bosses. They didn't go anywhere else. They went straight to somebody who could do something about it. So we didn't have Carowinds being wishy-washy or whatever. So that I think was the right thing to do because there's no telling if that structure could go on for a while without that support, or if it would fail, the next cycle. So there's no way. Yeah, thanks for bringing up the picture there. Or no, it's not the picture. It's Brandon's background. Sorry. Yes. So the other things, I guess, getting into the cracks are very serious, and they start very small. They start on the granule level. So in steel, not all the steel particles cool at the same rate. So you have little grains of sand next to each other, touching each other all through this thing. And as the material's loaded, it kind of rubs those grains of sand together. And if they rub too far past each other, that's where cracks will start. So a crack is generally going to start in some sort of flaw, or just the rule of thumb is if it looks like a crack, it's going to act like a crack. So in my first video, I mentioned that where the tubes come together, that's going to be where the crack starts because you have materials changing shape, you have stresses in the materials changing direction, and they kind of pile up on each other. If you think about going on a racetrack, it's much easier to drive on the outside than on the inside. So anytime you're on the inside, you just expect higher stresses there. So as we look at that joint, we're going to notice that the weld right there is going to have that inside stress, and that's where the crack is likely to start. Now, with welding, we have to use a lower design factor than we would for the parent material, and we also have things to worry about like the heat affected zone. So generally, we're allowed to use 60% of the weld tensile strength. So if they were using, I don't want to get too specific, but if they were working using 80 KSI weld rod, they could only use 60% of that, which is what, 57%, 53%, somewhere in there, or 53,000 KSI. So they're automatically having to derate that via a lot of standards around welding. And then that's a perfect place for a crack to start. So if there's, we always say when there's a failure, it's always based on two things. You have loads higher than expected, and you have the structure is not adequate. And both of those can go in a multitude of directions. So a lot of people are speculating that one of the supports, the foundations sunk a little bit on the diagonal member, and that would also increase the load on the structure. We could have the train running a little bit faster. We could have winds. We could have a lot of things that can go into that part. The train generally runs about the same speed, so it's not going to see higher or lower loads from that. It's probably going to be from something external to the coaster itself. As far as the structure not being adequate, I got a lot of heat on this one too, but since it broke, it's inadequate, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a drink here,
You're good.
and that's what I'm basing it off when I say that, and that's common within the engineering community to say that. There could be defects in the weld, defects in how it's prepped. The weld could be incomplete. Could be just a badly designed joint. I'm speculating on all these. I can't speak from any real definitively because I don't know the loads. I don't know the joint preparation. The best things I have are photos taken from the ground looking up. So yeah, I'm limited by what I can say and not say.
Yeah.
But all those things will be inspected, revealed, and uh, these things have very thorough investigation techniques. Some of the techniques used are the overall flow is usually governed by something called an 8D, where it's got 8 steps, and you have to answer certain questions. Helps you evaluate different rework possibilities, and then you get to kind of helps you make the right decision, or find out if you have enough evidence to make the right decision. Uh, there's another thing called 5 whys. So if you say like you have a crack, well, why'd you have the crack? And you keep asking why? You sound like a little 5-year-old kid. Why? But it does get you to address the root cause because you're curious enough to keep asking why.
Yeah.
You have things like fishbone diagrams. You have layered process audits. There's a whole series of quality assurance methods that go into making sure that you get to the root cause is. And I say root cause is. It's very rarely one cause. I once saw a causal map, and this is where you start mapping all these things out. What caused what caused, for the Exxon Valdez oil spill up in Alaska back in the 80s. And if you look at what the media said, it was, the captain was drunk, ran it into a sandbar, we fired him.
Yeah.
And okay, well, that's not what happened because the causal map, it was completely different. In fact, the captain of that one got exonerated many years later.
True.
Because yes, he was intoxicated, but he did what he's supposed to and read it himself and
Exactly.
have somebody else that's qualified, because you can't expect the captain to pilot the boat 24 hours a day. That
Correct.
would be lunacy.
Correct. And now let me ask
So
you this real fast. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, absolutely.
And that is, why do you think this happened on Fury and could have happened on other B&M Hypers or Gigas potentially?
I mean, at the end of the day, it can happen anytime, anywhere.
Correct.
Generally speaking, that joint is very difficult to inspect. I don't know if you could get up there even with a drone and look at it. If you look at it from, you have to be where the track is, looking down, but then you got the part that comes over where it actually attaches to the track there.
Yeah.
That's visibly blocking there. So you may be able to see a part of it if you're really looking for it. But yeah, it's just a hard spot to look at. Even if you had a drone, I don't think you can get much closer, and you kind of be looking at a funny angle.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I think too is there's so much velocity that train has on that element. I mean, you've been on Fury,
Oh
and
yeah.
you're hauling, and
Oh yeah.
there's only that one support that goes down 90 degrees and it cuts at a 45 angle there, it looks like. And that train, I mean, all the force is pushing outwards, not down where most footers, but that is just, that's probably the fastest point of a B&M coaster that has like the angled track, and the angled supports and whatnot. So I think that's definitely why it cracked there. I'm not really worried about it. Someone brought up earlier about would this happen to Orion, and Orion at Kings Island is a great 287 foot tall coaster. I'm just joking. Orion's
You're gonna
great.
make a lot of people mad right there.
I love it. No, Orion's great, but they don't have, the ride does not have that many high speed turns. It's a lot of it's more, straight track instead of the curves, where I don't know if this would actually happen to Orion as quickly as it did on Fury. I know there's one at the bottom of the what's it called? The bottom of the turnarounds, really a high speed kind of a turn. But again, I think that's exactly why this happened on Fury. And I just feel like B&M, I'm sure they're shocked because there's something like this has never happened before to them,
Right.
and
I
all of
mean,
a sudden they
being
have
this American
this.
coaster for 35, 40 years or something.
Yeah, it's just it's absolutely crazy. So um,
Right.
there's a
So
question.
one thing
There's
that I keep
yeah,
getting questions about is,
yeah,
shouldn't that support the diagonal be on the other side? And theoretically, yes, it would make more sense. Unfortunately, that would put it like either on the sidewalk or in the parking lot. I can't tell from the aerial shot there. But yeah, it was better to design it this way. And B&M's made all sorts of supports like this that are great. Uh, and there's been a lot of I don't want to put this like unusual supports. I'm thinking of Great Bear up at Hershey Park, where it's got that one that kind of reaches up and under and
yeah,
has
yeah.
a track to the top, just because of it's overhanging the river. And uh, so they've done a lot of great things. And uh, you know, okay, maybe this one was overlooked, maybe it was poor maybe it can be there's probably blame to go all the way around.
True,
Uh,
true.
so uh, I'm also thinking about other coasters like the original Bad up at Kings Island,
Yeah,
and
that's
the
true.
Big Bad Wolf, where they had lots of
Hmm.
structural issues on those.
Especially in the second half of Big Bad Wolf over the river there, or the lake. It's you're right. It's just crazy to think that this again happened on the B&M and not like a old school Aero coaster or even Vekoma. And at the same time, it kind of give the older coasters credit because they're still standing and really, they're pretty structurally sound. Now, here's an interesting
Right.
thought to everyone in the comments. Is this why Vortex closed at Kings Island? I mean, they really never said why. I wonder if they found something like this on Vortex and they realized it's probably at the end of its life cycle, and there's just since this happened, my mind has been going every direction as to okay, how could this happen and what ride could be next. There's a lot of different things about it here. So it's definitely interesting. Is there any questions in the comments? Let's break this up a little bit
Right.
for myself or Corey. Feel free to ask. I know this live stream is a little bit different because we have a guest on here, so I want him to share his knowledge and stuff because he has a great channel and a fascinating video about how this whole thing happened. Um,
Right.
I do want to say that. There is reports out there where the guy who took the video went to guest services and then they apparently did not have much urgency with it. And if that is true, that should not be the case. But
Right.
at the same time, on the flip side of it, there's a lot of times where guests like prank ride operators or park employees with things that aren't really true. So it's
Yeah.
like, do you believe them? Do you not believe them? So and honestly, most of the guest service team at Carowinds this year, particularly, like a lot of them, honestly, a lot of them don't. No one get mad at me for saying this, but a lot of them don't really feel like they want to be there. And your
Yeah.
guest services, you're supposed to be, hey, how are you doing? Welcome to Carowinds. What can I help you with? And a lot of it's like, hey, can I help you?
Yeah.
So
So
I
I
don't
worked at
know.
Knott's Berry Farm back in the day before they were owned by Cedar Fair.
Yeah,
And I would say like they don't train you for anything of that nature.
yeah,
And I would say to people watching this, if you see something like this crack or something that's unsafe, go look
hmm
for the guys with the walkie-talkies, whether it's a
yeah,
security guard or
yep,
generally if they have a walkie-talkie, they are manager, and they're more trained to put bigger emphasis on something of that nature.
true. Here's a question. Do you think Fury being opened year-round operations this year for the first time ever had anything to do with this?
Nope.
I agree, 100%. It's the first time they did not. They went year-round operations, and someone said in one of my comments that Carowinds was running the rides below the temperature that B&M recommends, and that's not true. I'm good friends with the head supervisor of Fury, and I asked him a few questions about that, and they don't run it, and they take very good care of Fury. So that is obviously
So
out of the question.
yeah, if I was designing a coaster and it had a temperature limit, I would have that programmed in that you cannot even cycle
Correct.
the round.
Correct.
Maybe you can do the transfer track or something like that, but
Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
ride it under temperature.
And Adam, thank you for the super chat, Adam. Appreciate it. Excuse me. He is the one who I think is coming up with me to ride your backyard coaster. Anyways, he says, "Is it
He won
just
my
me?"
contest too, by the way.
There you go. Sweet. He says,
So
"Is it just me, or was that section of Fury absolutely hauling faster than ever before over the last couple of weeks before closing?" I honestly did not get to ride it a whole bunch the last few weeks. I was out of town, but when I did ride it, I remember the ride. I've been saying pretty much everyone that Fury is running different this year. Like it is hauling uh, throughout the whole entire ride. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. But Fury's running great, and I'd imagine once Fury reopens, it'll still hopefully be running just as good.
right. I don't know if that's enough of a change in loads to really, move the needle much. If
Yeah.
you have, a 4%, 5% increase in speed, it's this will kind of be a somewhat linear thing. You're not going to move. You may change the loads 10%,
Mm-hmm.
but theoretically, you probably have at least, and I don't know what the standards are. I do know the governing standard is ANSI F 2291, but I haven't had a chance to look at it because it costs like $100 to get a copy. But I would say standard steel design is like a 3-to-1 on your expected loads. That means you have to be 3 times stronger.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that for a ride of this caliber, it's probably at least 4.
Yeah. Exactly. And it
So
just
10% when you have a safety factor of 4.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely crazy how this whole entire thing happened. But another question, and this is a really good question as well. Um, where'd it go? Oh, do you see drones being the future of ride inspections? Because I saw the drone at Carowinds on Sunday, and I think it's really smart to get a bird's eye view of certain angles. Obviously, you can't get to everything, but just wanted to kind of see your input on that.
Oh, they're definitely taking over.
Yeah.
As mentioned, the DeSoto Bridge in over I-40 over the Mississippi there. They were using drones all in that to inspect it because there's a lot of spots you can't get to. So, uh, however, it's not going to ever replace a human being having to physically inspect that weld at least once a year. I'm
Sure.
not sure what the actual maintenance requirements are, but if it's not, it's at least once a year, if not twice a year,
Correct.
that they have to touch every weld.
Matthew, there's a lot of questions, guys. So I apologize if I'm not seeing everyone's questions here. So, for just put that out there. Matthew says, could the amount of rain in Carowinds cause the effect of the footer? It's been really rainy here, pretty much all year. It seems like every weekend it rains, unfortunately. But could that really mess the footer up? Because as you know, since you go to Carowinds, it's kind of in the low, just a flat field there where there's really not really much runoff. Do you think that could have caused potentially this issue?
So I must say I'm not a civil engineer. If it permanently attaches to the ground, I'm not your design guy at least. But yes, footers sink all the time, and if it does, it'll put extra loads into that, which I would imagine that most of the load would come from that
Yeah,
caused the stress.
yeah,
Uh, like I mentioned in my last video, once they put those vertical fins on to tie the two pieces together, I
hmm
imagine that they're going to put that on a machine, measure that how it's changed from their engineering prints,
yeah,
and see, they'll be able to tell definitively if the structure has moved.
yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Huge shout out goes to Alexander. Thank you for the super chat. He says, I do not like the fact that news media outlets use this story to push the propaganda that amusement park rides are dangerous. Shucks, he or she would ride, or he would ride it, despite the crack being there, it would still be fine. I definitely agree. I would ride Fury right now. Call me crazy, but if you look at the video, I've done it hundreds of times. B&M's track is so thick, and it acts like a support, if you will. Now, obviously, the ride needs supports, but that one support not being there, I mean, is it really necessary to have it? I mean, I'm sure you want it there, but I would definitely take a ride on it with knowing that at least one ride because I'm kind of a daredevil. I wouldn't keep it open like that. But I back to the news media outlets. I was fortunate to get on a local channel here to be on an interview across the street from Carowinds, and I did a couple interviews via like a Zoom session, and it was more or less to really shine the positivity that Carowinds is doing the right thing, and Carowinds has so much more to offer than just Fury. So be sure to come on out to the park. But yeah, I hate the way the media is twisting this around. Most media is. I had someone reach out to me yesterday here in Charlotte and say, "Hey, can we use your photos for this article we want to do?" And I said, "You can, as long as you're not bashing the park and making the park look bad. Because if you are, then you're not going to use my photos." And they did not. They used my photos, and the article was very, wasn't
Nope.
bashing. So again, thank you for the super chat.
Right.
Let's see
So
here.
my thoughts on
Go.
that is you're more likely to get hurt, injured, killed on the way to the park than at the park.
Correct.
So, I mean,
100%.
roller coasters are extremely safe for the number of riders they take on an average annual basis, and
Exactly. Shaner says, "Do you think that B&M changes the style of the support so it's not all on one area of the support, or do you think they'll just keep the same type of support for Fury?"
I don't anticipate them changing it, but that's all dependent on what they find in the investigation.
Yeah.
I think we're going to find. I think the most likely cause of this is that foundation changed or shrunk, sank, whatever.
Very good.
I think that's what's going to be it. We find a defect in the weld, but you think of how many of these types of supports are out there on every B&M. It's a proven design.
Yeah, and also the welding plates that are now on Fury's support there. If you look, I did a video today about Fury again because this is like huge news. I mean, this is the first time really a major B&M coaster has had this happen. It's the world's tallest coaster with a lift hill and arguably the best coaster in the world. So I'm just out there covering it for people that are trying to come to Charlotte. If they're, so should I postpone my trip? Should I still come? Type of thing. But those steel plates were added on Goliath over at Six Flags Over Georgia at the end of the ride, and they look like they've been there for a couple of years. And if you zoom in on Gatekeeper, at least the airtime hill right after the Immelman inversion, they have a couple of steel plates that are painted over, but they have those in those supports. So I think this might be a common issue with B&M supports that has happened over the course of time, but the general public don't see it or don't know about it. So the park, adds these new steel plates to it, and most people don't even know anything about it and think, oh, okay, that's normal. That's supposed to be like that.
Right.
So it's very interesting to me now that Coasters and Brews shared it on Twitter today, and check them out for sure. A great channel over there. But I'm like, that makes me wonder, what other B&Ms have these steel plates and everything else? Because too, it's amazing to think if Fury was located like in the woods, we would have never have known this would happen. It's kind of crazy to think about. Thank God Fury's in the front of the park. And someone on a comment complained that why didn't a park employee notice this? Well, the way Carowinds is set up around that support there's really not many employees there. There's one employee. They're located in the preferred parking little booth area. And usually they're not that attentive. They're on their phone until a car pulls up, if I'm being honest. But there's not really many employees around that area. And then the security guards that are doing the security checkpoint, they can't see that angle because that support's on the opposite side of the track from where they visually would see. Plus, you're looking at maybe 100 yards away. So their eyes aren't going to really see that from that angle. So that's why a park guest found this and reported it and everything else. So I will say the only thing that I did not like is Fury. The operation wise, they sent around the trains twice because I watched them do it. Once I found out it was closed, they sent around two empty trains to get the rest of the riders off of the ride. What I would have done is, because I used to be an ops, I would have stopped the ride immediately, let the trains roll into where they're going to go, the back brakes, the lift hill, wherever it's at. Then I would evac the ride, knowing that I don't know what other damage can cause if I send another train over the lift hill. So
That is true. It's a good question because I see arguments for it either way, but I'm not sure
yeah,
what the line
yeah,
hoppers are trained to do. So,
yeah,
a unloaded train is a lot lighter than a loaded train, so the likeliness goes down dramatically of
yeah,
there being an incident, but I can't say
exactly.
definitively.
It's it's just one of those things. I get both sides for sure. Let's see, Tatsu had a crack in one of the supports in the final turnaround. It was reported without national news. Um, so, what do you think about? Not to change the subject, but a lot of people talk about the new Top Thrill Dragster Formula, whatever it's going to be called. What do you think about the footers, how large those footers are, and just the whole Zamperla being involved? And what do you think about all that? And the way your mind works, I'm curious to see what you think.
So, I'm not happy. I'll be personal question. I love Top Thrill just because it touched on what I did, which is a lot of hydraulics. So I love the mechanism there. In fact, the
Yeah,
coaster that I showed earlier, it's going to have a very similar system. It's going to be an electric motor because it doesn't have to be that big.
yeah,
But it's going to be cable pole and stuff like that. So the LSMs are nice because they're non-contact. If the electron or if a wire breaks, the electrons just kind of dribble on the floor. Uh, Whereas hydraulic oil makes a big mess, and you gotta clean that up.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I really wish that they would turn back and work with Intimate at least on this one because that's been what almost 10 years since they haven't since was it Intimidator the issue with that and they
Yeah,
stopped working together. So I think a lot's changed. Technology's changed. When I was designing mobile bucket trucks, we had an issue with fiber optics back in the 1980s, and
mm,
people still have a bad taste in their mouth almost 30 years later. And we really had
wow.
to convince the old people to let us try it again because back in the 80s, did anybody have a computer in your house?
Yeah,
No. And now everybody's got a cell phone. So there's a lot of things of that nature where you kind of just have to let the old people retire, and then you can get back in with Intamin, get back in with our RMC because they don't know that stuff, what happened firsthand. Uh,
no, that
yeah,
makes
so I'm not
sense.
thrilled with Top Thrill. It's not going to have anywhere near the launch capability because the LSMs just aren't as powerful as
Yeah,
that Halo drive system. I think it was a sustained 4.5 Gs for 4 seconds or something. So it's not possible to match it with that. They're going to have to swing launch it just like Pantheon and
yeah.
it's a great ride. And if they put an airtime hill in the middle of it, that might
It's
be pretty
gonna,
good.
yeah, it's definitely gonna be an interesting ride. I'm definitely excited to ride it, but it's still the whole intimate thing kind of, yeah, it makes me sad. Anyway, it's a great comment here, Maverick in the comments, and I love this. He says Fury should change its name to Crack In. Get it? That's epic. Um, Hold on, I have another super chat. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you. Which one do you like more, Orion or Leviathan? And I've not been on Leviathan, unfortunately. Corey, have you?
I have not. I have been on Orion, and I hope to be later this month.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. So I've
So
not been on, unfortunately. So I would say Orion, but due to the layout, just judging by the layout and what I like in a Giga, I would probably say Leviathan. I like the more high speed turns. and Leviathan offers a few of those more so than Orion does. Huge shout out goes to East Coasters. What's going on? They're huge friends, great friends of mine. Great channel, great POVs. Be sure to check them out. The Coaster
Wow, somebody
Scorpion.
wrote
How you doing,
305
girl?
4 times in a row.
What?
Somebody wrote I-305 4 times in a row. I can't even do that.
I can do
My
like
record's 3.
Yeah, I can do 2 or 3, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that can do more than that. Oh, Leviathan at SeaWorld is good. Yeah, I would love to ride that Gravity Group coaster. That looks really good out in Australia for sure. But let's see. Any other questions for Corey? I know we have a lot. It's just hard to read this. These comments go so fast, so it's hard for me to pinpoint all the different contacts. But here's a great question. I don't know who said it, but let's see here. How would you, in 60 seconds or less, so we can get through some of these questions, okay, Corey?
All right.
How would you change or rebuild the support for Fury?
Depends on what's wrong with it. If it's the foundation sinking, they just need to put that back together and make sure you got some good welds. Bevel it out. I would like to see that structure replaced at some point, since it's only one piece and that could be made fairly easily. If it's a more design type error, I think what we'll end up seeing, and I propose this on my channel, of running that plate that mounts to the track all the way down to that tube, and tie that in. That way you take a lot of that stress off the weld. I could also see adding in maybe 2 diagonals. So instead of having the one right here, you'd have another one coming off 45 degrees or 30 degrees maybe in front of it, and another 30 degrees behind it, and have 2 and get rid of the initial one.
Sure, that makes sense.
But since I'm not privy to what kind of loads are on that, it's hard to say.
Yeah, I get that. Real fast, huge shout out goes to Airtime Mike. Great guy. He hangs out with El Toro Ryan a lot. He needs to create a YouTube channel, so we all need to subscribe. So I'm going to pressure him to doing that. But he said he's done I-305. Let's see, where's it? It went down 86 times in one day. Give the guy a round of applause.
Oh my
86 times. That's crazy, bro. I love it. That's fantastic. That's crazy.
I hurt just thinking about that.
Yeah, I don't know. The older I get, the more I hang out with my buddy Matt and my other friends, like I'm riding rides more. I can do Fury 10, 12 times in a row now. Down at Roller Coaster Rodeo at Fiesta last month, we did Wonder Woman, which is, I think, more intense than 305 just now because it's so short. We did, I think, 11 times in like 30 minutes. I think I'm like a 40-year-old 225 bod. Like I'm like going to die on this thing. It was great.
Right.
So we'll
see. You gotta live to ride another day.
Yeah, that's true. See, Airtime Mike needs a channel. See, everyone, Airtime Mike's a great guy, and I owe you. I need to do that video for you, buddy. I know I'm just been crazy busy. I'll do it tonight, I promise. But yes, it's definitely very interesting. That's the thing too about I-305 is, given Intamin's reputation, now we have a B&M support cracking, which makes you wonder, what happened with just imagine with 305 running even probably faster on their high-speed turns. What if this would ever happen 305? No one would ever see it. It's in the back of the park, unless you're maintenance driving by. It's kind of crazy to think about. So
it'd be difficult to we wouldn't have the knowledge that we have with this one just because it's way back.
Correct. Now, Corey, I have a question for you. What's your top 3 coasters?
That's a difficult question. So 2 weeks ago, I rode on Air Force One. That is now my new number 1. That is awesome. Took the place at Twisted Timbers, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
The third one it's going to be harder to pick. There's so many great ones out there. There's Maverick, I like Lightning Rod. Finally got down to Six Flags Over Georgia, and I really like that Twisted Cyclone. It's very short.
It's short though, yeah.
It is. It's got some unique elements that aren't on some of the other RMCs, like I guess the inverted Cobra roll or whatever you want to call that, the turnaround. That's pretty cool. But Air Force One, If you haven't ridden it, you got to get down there.
It's so
I
good.
went down there on a day that was raining, and we were one of the only like 15 people in the park. It was insane.
Yeah, it's
We
definitely.
rode it 15 times with my girls, and they had staff members literally following us around and opening whatever we wanted to go do.
Love it. Love it.
So yeah.
That's great. Real fast, Alan Trotter wants to know, when do you think Fury will be reopening?
There's a lot of ifs in this thing because they've got to get a lot of sign-offs. So we've got 4 sign-offs that we need. We need B&M, we need Carowinds or Cedar Fair. They always hire an independent investigator that usually comes in, gives their assessment, and then acts as a sign-off. And then you got the state board, which I found out in this case is North Carolina, because the
Yeah.
station is in North Carolina, even though the crack is in South Carolina.
That's true.
So
And
yeah,
I-
a lot of sign-offs got to happen.
Real fast, I know B&M's already been at the park, so I do. That was confirmed. I know that is. I know B&M is
Cool.
there, and I've heard there's no other issues in the rest of the track. It's just that one little area.
Right. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And it's literally like once they know what the problem is, and if they say, oh, it's the foundation that sunk, we're gonna de-stress the thing. Well, it already cracked, so it's de-stressed. But they tacked it back together in its natural resting state.
Yeah.
And then go ahead and I don't think they're going to leave those fins there permanently, Brandon. They may put other fins on it, but those they'll probably document the heck out of it when they pull it down. I can almost guarantee they're going to pull this thing down, document it, measure it very exactly with what's called a coordinate measuring.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go ahead and weld this thing out the way it needs to be. And then they'll probably put some other doublers on there. They may put other vertical ribs like you see there. But the ribs that they have on there have big notches in them where another crack could start. So I don't think they're going to use those ones.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think they notch those plates so that if the crack went out right there, they wouldn't be touching anything. So they just cut that little C out. So if it's pointing out a little bit, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. I have 2 new super chats.
Oh, so I think if it goes smoothly, it could be open in 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. They're really rushing it because they have to get it open because it's a busy season, busy time. 2 super chats. One, Adam, Corey, tell us about your upcoming 200 coaster trip.
Oh wow! Not many people know about that. Yeah, so I'm at 187 now, and 2 weeks from now, I'm going to Holiday World for the first time, Kentucky Kingdom, and Camden Park in West Virginia.
Nice.
And then Kings Island, there's 2 coasters at Kings Island I still need. So I think that will get me over 200. So I'm excited about that. And I'm doing 5 parks in 5 days.
Good for you.
It's going to be a little bit of rush. I'm also visiting a kid that's how I met you, actually, Brandon. I'm going out to his house. He lives up near Dayton, Ohio, and he's building a backyard coaster. He's having some issues with it, so I'm going to go and hang with him. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, and let him know next time I go to Ohio next year, I'll bring Mason over there to ride it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. We have one more super chat here. Hold on, let me go back up to it here. Raymond, hope you're doing well, my friend. He or she says, thoughts on removing Rougarou and Gemini for a new midway. I mean, I'll let you think on that. I think this is more directed towards me, but I'll have you answer as well. Rougarou could get removed, but there's really not a lot of space if they did remove it. So whatever they built,
Don't you have to cut through the island at that point to get up there?
Yeah. I mean, if they could remove Rougarou, then you have better access to Millennium Island. I think removing Gemini for a new midway of any type would make more sense in that case. But definitely think both coasters for now are safe. I think Cedar Point's in a very interesting position. And honestly, I think for the first time in decades, besides like well, I don't think I what I think is for the first time in decades, their future is kind of unknown, right? Everything's riding on Dragster. What they're doing after Dragster, who knows? What rides close? What rides get rebuilt? Cedar Point's at a very interesting. It's still a great park, but it's almost like they're treading on thin ice as far as the future of where they stand now and progressing as the best park, the top of the line park, in my opinion, at least. And I'm just curious to see how they handle the Zamperla redo. And that's not me hating on Zamperla. It's just me as a concerned coaster enthusiast going with the manufacturer who has never built a coaster taller than 117 feet or faster than 57 miles an hour or whatever it is. And now you have Dragster. So it'll be interesting for sure.
I'd love to see them get rid of Rougarou and put in a nice modern Woody.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Hell, get rid of Rougarou.
They're not. There's no good wooden coaster at the coaster capital.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I would love that. I mean, get rid
Kings
of.
Island's got 4.
I know. I would be fine with getting rid of Gemini and give me Air Force One clone.
I'm all for that. Well, not a clone, man. They got to do something with it.
That's true. That's true. But Air Force One's so good, though. I love it. So Brock, thank you for being a supporter. I really do appreciate that. If there's any other questions, I have around 10 more minutes, guys. I promised the wife I'd watch a show with her tonight. And I've been really busy going to Carowinds, getting all this new footage for you guys. I do have another video coming out tomorrow. Six Flags Great Adventures, rumored to be building a new coaster, maybe 2024, 2025. So I shed my thought onto that, and it's pretty intriguing. So I don't know what to think, but I shared all of my videos, so I'm very excited to bring that to you tomorrow. Cedar Point Fan 101, Brandon, are you going to Darien Lake this summer? No, unfortunately not. I need to get back up there. I've yet to ride Superman, to be honest with you. And the last time I was at Darien Lake, it was 2008. So it's been some time. So I definitely need to get back up there. It's hard. There's nothing really pulling me up there. I need to get to Canada's Wonderland. So I'd pair that with that, but definitely want to do that. Is Carowinds getting a new coaster soon? Potentially 2024. Are they all eyes? I've been predicting this for a while now. All eyes are on Carowinds to get a water edition or water ride in 2024 in the dry park because they desperately need it. And the Rip Roaring Rapids area will be the place of it. Whether it's a roller coaster or a rapids ride or a log flume, something. And a huge shout out goes to Park Visions. What's going on, my buddy? Hope you're well. And then, so it'll be very interesting to see. Hey, Alan, let's do a Canada's Wonderland trip, okay? Because I definitely need to go. Hey, what's up, Coaster Fox? I'm sorry. This guy, I feel so bad for him, man. He came to Carowinds on, when was it? Sunday, I think it was. And he came with his son, who's never been on Fury, in his clothes. I felt really bad. So I kept on rubbing into his son just how good Fury is and how you got to ride Fury, and it was mad. But anyways, it is what it is. Let's see. Should you marry Fury 325 Central Squad fam? I mean, sure. Why not? Just pick a support. Don't pick the crack support, though. Do I like Kennywood? I don't know about you, Corey, but Kennywood's great. Highly recommend checking out Kennywood.
Oh, yeah. I got 8 rides in a row on Phantom's Revenge.
Nice. I love it.
It was a rainy day.
That's great. Magic Mountain, Giga, that's a troll. They're teasing about a Giga. They're not getting a Giga, people. Come on now. I wish.
I don't know where they put it.
Are all the B&M coasters being inspected right now? I do know that Afterburn was closed down for a few hours yesterday or the day before. I think on Monday, actually, to get just checked out. I'm sure they did the same with Intimidator. Vortex is closed, unfortunately, because it's the ride that will not die. I just wish Vortex would just, pass on. We tear it down. We build something else. But Raymond, thank you for the super chat. Thoughts on RMC and Shivering Timbers? I've heard it's good. I've had some people in the chat right now who just wrote it. They said it's decent, but it is rough in spots. So that would be really cool, honestly, though, because they could really do some cool things with that, and I would be okay with it. I've yet to ride Shivering Timbers, but
No, I need to get up there.
I'd be okay with RMC in it.
I'm gonna go with Ghost Rider over X2, by the way.
I've yet to ride either. I need to ride both. Matt Carls, thank you for the super chat. What's better, Ghost Rider X2? I don't know, Matt. You just did that to make me mad, man. I know that. You know I have not been on those. Ugh. Anyways, California, I'm planning for 2024 to get out there. Even though it appears no parks really adding much of anything in 2024, but oh well. Let's see. Lindsay, how are you doing? What do you think would be a good ride to replace Vortex at Kings Island?
Anything.
I think anything. I think that park really could benefit from a multi-launch coaster of some type. I think a very safe investment would be a B&M dive coaster with cracked supports. I'm going to ride that for a while now. But I think
one of those mock spinnings, like time travelers.
Yes, I think that'll be really cool. Europe in 2024, I would like to, but my son is 48 inches or 42 inches, 44 now, I think. Yeah, he's 44 and a half, sorry. So I'm thinking about waiting till he's a little bit taller so he can go with me. And that way we can do it together because he's so into coasters, which is fantastic. Here's a park near you, Corey. What will Busch Gardens Williamsburg next coaster be?
I'd love to see them get a full size Woody.
Yeah,
something they lack. Invader is great, but it's only about 45 feet tall or something.
It's not very tall at all.
Yeah, so get something there. It'd be nice to see something, like a wing coaster. Good, but I'm not a big fan of Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I mean, I'd rather go to Kings Dominion right next to it.
That's fair.
I'm not a family ride guy, so
I think that's a fair statement. I love both, but I like both for different reasons.
All right.
East
I think
Coaster,
Griffin's the real standout in that park. So
yep, that's true.
Great now too.
East Coaster says Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This is a roller coaster type we've never heard of before. The next coaster is going to be an RMV hybrid. I don't know what an RMV hybrid is, but that sounds pretty cool. It sounds better than an RMC hybrid.
Yeah, maybe it's B is for beer or brewing or something.
Yeah. Let's see, Maverick, Kings Island or Cedar Point. I don't know. The more I go to Kings Island, the more I enjoy it more. But Cedar Point's so cool. It's like a destination. You have the lake there, and right. you have the better coaster. So I still go Cedar Point, but Kings Island. If I'm going for like the best overall day experience, I'd go Kings Island. If I'm going great, intense roller coasters, then Cedar Point. Dad plus 2 says, "Are you an official Carowinds ambassador yet?" No, I just love the park. Try to promote it in a positive way as much as I can. Let's see. Do you guys like Sky Coasters by the Unpopular Truth? Have you ever done the Sky Coaster, Corey?
What is a Sky Coaster?
Like the Ripcord. The Ripcord. Where we met in Harmony Hall. The big.
Yeah, there was one down over Georgia that was closed the day I was there.
Yeah,
so I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, they're really cool. I highly recommend doing them. I've actually have not been on one in years. I used to work at the one in Six Flags New England. I was a site controller, so we're able to ride it for free all the time and go to any other park that had one and ride it for free. So I've done Lake Compounce, Kings Island, the one at Fun Spot and Kissimmee, the 300-footer. That thing scared the living crap out of me. Oh my gosh. And the older I get, the more terrified of the heights, and just being 300 feet up like that. I was looking down at the lake below me. I'm like, oh, there's a turtle.
Having kids changes you in that way too.
It does. It does. When I rode with the East Coasters, we rode the drop tower in Orlando before the accident, unfortunately. And we rode it twice, and we were so scared. You had three grown guys, and we were terrified. We were shivering. Like we all had to like. Joe was the only one that was like, "All right, we're gonna ride it." If it wasn't for Joe, I don't think Sam and I could have done it because we were like practically holding each other, like we're gonna get through this. It was so high, and then the seats tilt forward. You look down, you're like, "Oh crap!" But it's definitely it's roller coasters and rides. Really, I just turned 40, and honestly, I feel younger since I started this channel because I'm riding more rides, and I feel I'm just younger at heart. I feel like I'm a healthier mindset. I'm in healthier, physically. I feel really good, and to the slogan, keep riding coasters. It really does impact your life in all positive ways, really.
Yeah.
About 5 more minutes, guys, because I have to go hang out with the wife. AAA, Brandon, have you done the other Fury, Falcons Fury? I've not. It's been closed actually, it was open once, and I'm not afraid to admit this, but I was with my family, and we walked right past it, and I didn't want to ride by myself. I was that scared. And that was like a year ago. I'm terrified of heights. Like, I need some support, like someone to talk to, like going up the lift or the drop and everything else. So I definitely want to do it. I just need to have someone next to me for my support. You guys got the truth coming out tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. You just turned 40. Happy birthday, Big C. Hey, this guy had a great comment. By the way, bring it up on YouTube. I think today or yesterday, one of the two, but he said it's interesting to note that 3 of the 4 tallest coasters in the world right now are all down, or at least have been down. You have Dragster, which obviously is down, Kingda Ka, which was just down for a few weeks, and now Fury. It makes you kind of think, does the height really have to do with it, or it's just a fluke? I think it's more or less a fluke, but it's definitely interesting to see. Let's see here. I got your back on the ride. Thanks, Eddie. Yeah, we definitely need to ride a ride together sometime for sure. Why are there trim brakes on Intimidator? Because it's a pretty lackluster B&M. But no, Matt Carl's in the comments. I'm sure he'll back me up in saying that I'm totally right. It's the most boring ride in the world. But yeah. How excited are we for Epic Universe? Corey, you go. Epic Universe.
I'm not even familiar with that. I'm sorry.
That's Universal New Park down in Florida.
Okay. I
need
to do a trip down to Florida. I was hoping to do it this year. That got pushed back because of a whole bunch of work stuff. So maybe.
Well, it's not open yet. It's open in 2025, but check it out. It's going to be a game changer.
I'll have to do some research.
Yeah, I'm definitely really excited about Epic Universe for sure. Let's see. What rides was you certified on? Adam, are you talking to me as far as what rides I've worked on or what? Please respond in the comments. Let's see here. Is Fury getting trim brakes on the drop? I've heard some rumors. Can anyone clear this up? I'm going to say there's no way possible due to the fact that it barely crawls over the treble clef on windy days or colder days. So if you add a trim on the first drop, you're going to really get that. The train might not make it over the treble clef. So I don't think the first half of Fury will be neutered. We already have one trim brake on the second half, and I don't think that they'll put a trim on it.
Right. I would say before they put the trim brake, they would probably slow down the lift hill right at the end.
Correct.
Maybe
that might be something that they could do.
That would be less of a crap moment than
I don't think that they would definitely do that, unfortunately. Real fast here, Adam, to answer your question, I've worked at Kings Island, SeaWorld Orlando, as well as Universal and Six Flags New England. I'm not going to list out every ride, but I've worked on the Beast, Superman Ride of Steel at New England, Dueling Dragons when it was there down at Universal, and at SeaWorld, I was in charge of the Sky Tower, and I was in charge of the Shamu Stadium, the operations behind the stadium, for about a year, which is really, really cool, and that was really neat to go from rides to like stadium operations and whatnot. I didn't think I would like it at first, but I ended up really loving it. Super chat, Huddy R, what's going on, bro? Hope you're well. Matt Carl's X2 question was the best of the night. Yes. Yeah, thanks. Rub it in even more. Hey, let's see here. Oh, I see. Let's see. Hey, Patrick Ryan, hope you're doing well. And yep. Yes, I did the swings at Icon Park. I don't like them. They freak me out. But one thing I don't like about those is that it does not stay at the top very long, and you do most of the spinning that feels like 50 feet off the ground. So I wish the cycle was better and kept you up higher. But we'll see. Anyways, guys, that's it for Corey and I. I know he has family and has to get some work done. So do I. But thank you guys so much for checking this out. This by far has been my best live stream ever as far as views, so I greatly appreciate that. Be sure to check out Corey's channel. I'll put the link in the description for this. Give him a support, give him a sub, give him a like, check out his videos. He does great work, and if you ever see us in the parks, be sure to say hi. Corey, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate you having you and sharing this and kind of clearing everything up. Yeah, for sure. And I'll see you in about a month.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. That'll be fun. You guys, thank you so much. Have a great night. Keep riding coasters. And Matt, you can ride. Check out his shirt as well. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
All right. Bye.